Great. I believe we're recording.
Okay, I believe you're recording.
All right. Well, hi. Thank you so
Hi.
much. Thank you so much for doing this.
Sure, of course.
It's Autism Awareness Month. It's Sexual Assault Awareness Month, Awareness and Prevention Month. And so I thought the first video that we should do is definitely, if you don't mind, going to be about sexuality and autism.
Okay.
And since you are an international brain change and behavior expert and specializing in autism, and my mom, and moms of my brothers who had autism, I thought that you're the perfect person to talk about this with.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. My name, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is Dr. Lynette Louise, and people call me the brain broad. My daughter calls me Mom.
I usually call her Mom, yeah.
And I adopted 6 children, and 5 of them were challenged and 4 were multiply challenged. 4 were on the spectrum of autism, but they had other things too, fetal alcohol syndrome and whatnot. It was an interesting life that my biological daughters got to enjoy as we brought them into the fold. And I'm sure you have your own memories of them going through their experimentation phases and their learning phases as they hit puberty. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Puberty was a fun time for all of us.
Yes. Fortunately, we're an open-minded family, and we were able to sort of work our way through that. But I want to just start by being very personal so that you know that I've been there, done that. But to also let everyone know that I now work all over the world and I help all kinds of families. And this is a common issue. Any kind of difference in how you approach life, you're going to have a difference in how you approach sexuality. Sometimes it's going to be a physical limitation. Perhaps you're a little person, or you're in a wheelchair, or perhaps you don't have language, or perhaps swallowing is very difficult for you. So kissing can feel like you're about to drown.
Sensory issues in general. You could have some serious sensory issues. Yeah.
Right. So no matter how you look at this, it's going to have challenges. If you are different, there's not going to be the resources to help you to know how to cope with your challenges. You said, let's start with autism. So let's start with autism. I'm going to tell on my son here because he's okay with it. Not all of my sons are, but he has a fixation for a fabric called nylon. And it's a very particular type of nylon. And he's had many situations that have been problematic because of this. So, for example, he was working in a ski resort and he went into the coat room and there was this jacket that he fell in love with. Now, just imagine this from, it's funny, it's cute, but it's also real. He walked in, and in the same way that in that movie, you see somebody get a glint in their eye when they see a particular person and they're attracted to each other. He felt that way about this jacket. And this jacket compelled him strongly. And so he thought, well, I'm all alone. Nobody will know anything. And he snuggled up against it, and he had an ejaculation that surprised him. And then he realized it was a security camera area. And I was picking up from work, and he came running to the car, and he jumped in, and he sat or laid on the back seat floor and said, go, go, go. I'm in so much trouble. So I'm telling you this story because it was very real for him, and because it's fun to imagine and it's funny, but also this could have ended very badly. This simple need to have a particular fabric could have ended very badly, and it didn't. Nobody saw anything on any security camera. We talked through it. He came up with his own, he found his own nylon. He made his own nylon friend. he's handled this beautifully. But that's because we got lucky and I was able to help him.
Right.
If this happened and someone had seen it and I tried to explain it and, the police were called in, this learning experience could have turned into a lifelong shame and medication and incarceration. And really, it was just a sensory override. And
A
this
glint in
is
his
a thing,
eye.
right. And the thing is, with autism, there's a lot of that going on. There may be a particular smell that attracts or repels. There's a lot of repelling happening too. Maybe your breath, a hair that grows out of the chin could be the end of it for somebody.
Right.
Um, right. So there's a common theme that's going on in this sensory issue for people with autism. And that often leads them into very unusual sexual relationships. It also often leads them into gay relationships, for example. And this is no judgment, it's reality, right?
No.
So if a surprising body part throws you off, then you're going to want one that's much more familiar to you.
That's
I
an
think
interesting
that
point. I never would have thought of that. That's interesting. Yeah.
oh yeah, it's hugely frightening to a lot of people, the opposite sex body.
Right.
Right. And they've not made friends with it because they haven't been able to sort of learn about each other in the same way over the years. So now you hit puberty and, oh my gosh, what do I do with that thing? But at least I know what to do with my thing, right?
Right.
So there tends to be, yeah. And there's a kind of narcissism in autism anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And, really, there's a kind of narcissism in choosing your own gender, right?
That's interesting.
Being with yourself, right? So all of these things come into play when you're trying to make relationship and you hit puberty and you're driven by all of these needs. I think if I were to give any kind of advice on this, it's just you're going to have, if maybe autism is here so that we take our judgment cap off and we ask questions and we say, what's actually going on for you? Things that can look like bad behavior can just be confusion or compulsion. Another example, same son, he, he'd learned about privacy. He'd learned, that you have to make sure that you're in your own room or in the bathroom as he learned about masturbation. And so we had my daughter, your sister, biological, had her in-laws over and we were invited and everybody was there. And I don't know if you remember this, but it was this very, very staunch group of people.
I know the in-laws.
Yes. And so he thought, oh, I really, I've got this spontaneous erection I don't know what to do with. So he took himself off to the bathroom just as he should, and he laid down a towel on the bathroom floor, and he locked the door, and he set the scene for himself, and he moaned really loudly, and everybody in the living room was looking at each other, and I had to go, right, private includes sound, right.
That's funny.
So, but this is also an autism thing. Mm-hmm. So it's not just that he didn't put all the pieces together till he made the mistake and I helped him. But it's also that with autism, you often don't regulate your sound well. Your tones are talk like, right? So it isn't something he would have naturally thought of without stumbling upon it. And it isn't something I would have necessarily thought of to teach him.
Thought to tell him until the mistake happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So
But it's the way you were willing to talk about it with him without judgment, that helped him then go, oh, okay, good point, and move on. Because he has these urges and every right to figure out and learn how to follow those urges.
Right. How to do it safely and how to do it with kindness with other people. And then also he does not feel that he wants to be in a gay relationship, but he signals men without knowing why.
That's true. He does. That's true. He's always got men who want to go out with him, and he's even gone out with guys just because he doesn't know what to do, but that's not who he's interested in.
And to try it,
Yeah.
But it's, and so here's another autistic thing. A lot of them walk on their toes, and that's his thing. He has this bop that he does, and he has this walk that he does. And it's similar to the kind of walk that you would create if you were trying to signal men that you were interested. Okay, and so he had, so all these things that he had to learn about himself and how to signal the true interest, how to not signal incorrectly, how to be actually private, and then how to satisfy his desires based on his own particular compulsions and sensory needs. And that's just one person.
One of my brothers. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You're uniquely knowledgeable and good to come to with these kinds of questions because you work with people all over the world. Right. So first you did it as a mom with my brothers and with all of us. I mean, you had to help me through puberty too. And it is a difficult subject, and a lot of people just won't talk frankly about sex or sexuality anyways. Never mind when you have these weird differences that are more confusing how to talk about it because it's not out there. There's not a lot out there. So you are comfortable talking about it, but you also experience all the different ways in which people have tried to talk to their kids, tried to talk to their kids and their loved ones, and how those people have reacted to it. So that's So I love. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and maybe we'll get into that next time.
Right. No, I mean, it's not just with autism, but I think what you said is so spot on with sexuality and autism, but with autism in general, it's almost like it gives us we already had a need to talk better about our reasons behind things, to be more frank about sexuality, but to be more frank about a lot of the rules we've made up in life. And we already kind of needed that. But with autism, it's so necessary that we could choose not to do it, or we could follow your lead and choose to do it and be uncomfortable for a while until we're comfortable.
Right. And, we could go on and on about how this whole making it a difficult subject and making it uncomfortable in the first place is the problem, but we'll be here forever. I think that was a good starting place. So thank you for inviting me to do this, and we'll do a few more over the month.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, and thank you so much. I love you.
I love you too. Bye, sweetie.
Bye.